For the first time since 2003, the Champ Car World Series is set to go racing in Europe, today in Belgium. A global connection has always been at the heart of the Champ Car World Series. Now the battle for the Vanderbilt Cup is moving to Europe. A continental flair shows in the sophistication and the speed of a constant contender like Justin Wilson. Catherine Legge has been turning heads since her arrival from England. Now she's looking for a breakthrough performance in Belgium. Championship challenger Robert Doornbos's trendy Euro ways have also been on display on the racetrack. His 2 victories this season attest to the Dutchman's exuberant sense of style. And who can deny 3-time champion Sebastian Bourdais' desire to turn the Vanderbilt Cup into a family heirloom? Bourdais today looking to widen his points lead in this year's championship. Today, these drivers and a field chock full of challengers will launch Champ Car's new international initiative, ready to premiere the 2007 Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium. Welcome you live to Circuit Zolder in Zolder, Belgium for the Champ Car World Series, the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium today. It's the 11th race of the 2007 championship season. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Vikas is alongside. Bill Stevens will have the coverage for us from the Circuit Zolder today from Pit Road. Friday, 4 turns into the first warm-up. More trouble for speedy Dan Clark. Trying to pass a couple of cars, Justin Wilson and Jan Halen. Paul Tracy involved as well. A huge wreck. But Clark will be sitting out this weekend. The crew's thrashed hard. All the cars will make the start in a couple of moments. Bill, it was quite a controversial decision. Tony Cotman had more to say about that.
In fact, Rick, you'll remember that 2 races ago in San Jose, Dan Clark was put on probation after driving into the back of Justin Wilson during a yellow caution period. I'm with Tony Cotman right now. Tony, you've reviewed the incident. What was your decision? Yeah,
it's one of those unfortunate things that Dan was on probation, obviously, and it really didn't leave me a lot of options to what we could do. So I suspended him for this event, and all going well. We'll see him back next race.
All right, we should have a decision on Friday, Rick.
All right, Bill, well, this is not the first time that Dan Clark has been kind of at the nexus of some problems on the racetrack yet.
He's had a rough year as far as contact and potential contact there with Graham Rahal. He was warned for that one. Then heavy contact here in San Jose just before a restart with Justin Wilson. He did get back out, but then later got by his teammate but made contact with Catherine Legge. That was definitely a tough weekend for him, but Road America, he finished second, but in the process, unfortunately, got in front of his teammate Doornbos, knocking him out.
Earlier in the weekend, we spoke to Clark about having to sit out today.
But I support Tony's decision, and I'm just looking at it all from the bigger picture, much like Tony is as well. So I don't feel anything negative towards that at all, and I can't wait for the next race.
So Clark has the weekend to sit things out and kind of ponder the situation, maybe try to get control of his emotions a little bit more on the racetrack. Let's show you some of what's happened this weekend at Zolder during qualifying. The 4-car will run today, and guess who? Mario Dominguez kind of returning to one of the seats he used to hold a couple of years ago. He will drive the Jumbo Supermarket Ticketmaster machine today in relief of Clark. Robert Doornbos's teammate, championship challenger, never made a lap Friday during qualifying. The engine let go in the 14 car. They did put the car back together, and Doornbos will take the green flag today from 3rd on the grid. Doornbos, one of the championship contenders. Will Power, who's also won 2 Champ Car events this season. He took the provisional pole on Friday, bagged the bonus point, quickest during the first qualifying session at Zolder. Not quite as quick yesterday. Justin Wilson was able to get the CDW car out. This is a backup car, actually, after that Friday incident. Wilson able to get up to 5th quick on the grid. Bourdais, for the 30th time in his Champ Car World Series career, will start from the pole today in the McDonald's #1. The championship leader, Sebastian Bourdais, 5 wins on the season so far, going for his 6th of the year, hoping to extend the lead here at Zolder this afternoon. Now let's take a look at the championship standings. Bourdais' lead now 38 with that bonus point for taking the pole Saturday. Power 3rd. Wilson and Rahal very much in the hunt, at least for a top 3 position in the championship. Yeah, a lot of this still comes down to bonus points.
Look at the amount of bonus points you have there for Sebastian Bourdais. He got yet another one, just pummeled everyone in qualifying here, just with a tremendous lap. You saw him dirt tracking in some of the highlights, and I think now if you're a championship contender, Doornbos and Will Power, I think you got to take a chances here, especially on the first lap.
All right, the field coming to the line, ready for the standing start. Huge crowd on hand at Zolder. Here's Power. Our onboard looks will include the 5 car, the Aussie Vineyards machine. Also the Metazone 2 for Graham Rahal. We'll take a ride today with Justin Wilson in the CDW 9 car. And with Jan Halen in the Graphic Print 34. It's a home game for Halen and the entire Bachelor Conquest team today, getting set for the standing start at Zolder.
And the first few corners here are fast, so you don't necessarily have to be in single file. Again, I think the championship contenders need to be aggressive here.
Bourdais on the right of your screen, Power on the left in the Aussie Vineyards car. You'll see the lights go out, and then we'll be ready to race at Circuit Zolder. Here we go. Bourdais got him covered.
Dornbos and Power side by side.
Jan Halen trying to move up in that green and white car.
Dornbos got a spot.
Neil Johnny's on the move. There's Serbia. Most everyone starting on the alternate Bridgestones, the Reds. Let's get on board with Power. Third.
He's lost one spot, but he's clean. If you're a championship contender, you want to make a move on Bourdais, but already, look, there's the flashing lights, the power to pass. Already they're using the extra 50 horsepower to get a position while you can.
Johnny taking a look on the inside of Alex Tagliani back there in the Rocket Sports 8 car. There's the CDW machine of Wilson. He's 4th, starting 5th. On board Halen, the Graphic Print 34.
Takes a quick look to the inside.
Mazda running order, top of your screen. There's the pay-by-touch 22 of Tristan Gomedy starting deep in the field. Leader is Bourdais. Dornbos right there in the 14 car. Power, 4th belongs to the 9 of Wilson. Not everybody starting on the Reds, it appears.
And Justin Wilson, having started 5th, now running 3rd. That was a fantastic start for Justin. 4th, excuse me. But still a great start for Justin Wilson, pushing hard, and a career best starting, at least this year anyway, for Bruno Junqueira in the Dale Coyne operation.
Dale Coyne's 19th car, the Sonny's barbecue machine. Bruno qualified that car 4th best starting spot for a Coyne car in many years. Everyone single file. Jan, we'd heard from Bill Stevens earlier in the weekend. Everyone considers this a narrow, tough to pass racetrack.
But I think that as the race wears on, it's very hard on the brakes. There's 2 or 3 places you're up around 170 miles an hour, then you go all the way down to 3rd gear in some places 60. Slowest corner on the track 50. It's going to be hard on brakes. When the brakes are not there, you'll see mistakes, and I think you'll see some passing.
It's not unusual in our experience to see the Team Australia boys start on the Bridgestone black sidewall Potenzas. They seem to be the only team doing that here today.
It's interesting to see, again, the red sidewall Bridgestones are the higher grip tires, but the tires wear more in the beginning portions of the race when the track is a little more porous. But typically, people like to run these red sidewall tires. There's a good example. There's the black sidewall, like you said, of Team Australia. That means they're anticipating that the first stint will be the longest one. You want to have the reds on shorter stints.
And this could end up being a 4 pit stop race, you were telling me.
I think that it'll be 3 pit stops because no one wants to stop 4 times. You're going to go ahead and save some fuel and make it a 3-stopper.
An overcast day at Circuit Zolder in Belgium. Live coverage of the Champ Car World Series. Simone Pagenaud, car number 15. The rookie contenders for the Aussie Vineyards team, scored 10th. One of the best early moves of the race, the move made by Graham Rahal, 14th on the grid. We had him up to 9th a moment ago. Great start for Rahal unofficially. There's Power in the 5. Will Power, 2 wins on the season for the Aussie Vineyards team with Derek Walker and Craig Gore. On the season opener at Las Vegas. Came back in the wet to win at Toronto. 3rd right now. Dornbos looks like he's catching up a bit to the race leader, Bourdais. Paul Tracy on the move. Up to 6th right now. Tracy started 7th. You see I-Rise on the back end of Neil Johnny's Red Bull Gulfstream PKV entry. Palmatro safety equipment on board the 8 car, back under Rocket Sports livery now for Alex Tagliani.
Alex Tagliani was actually happy with this car. He wasn't happy with his qualifying position, but he's been happy with the car this weekend. but now finds himself having to fight on the part of the order that's difficult. You're in between cars, there's lots of turbulence. It's difficult to make hay when you're in this part of the running order, but everyone, let's say out of the top 4 or 5 right now, is just trying to save some fuel, but that was
off.
Tracy.
Paul Tracy in the 3 car. Off course and off the gas, Bill Stevens.
Well, guys, it has been a trying weekend for Paul Tracy. Things started out pretty well on Friday. In fact, at the end of qualifying on Friday, he got on the radio and actually thanked his crew and congratulated them for a great job. There's been so much controversy with that team this year. His crew was so relieved to hear Paul being happy, and then he came out on Saturday and crashed his car into the wall during qualifying and had to repair the car. And so now he's having problems as the race begins.
And he gets himself off course, but of course when you're talking about thanking the crew, he was thanking new crew, and that is that Tom Brown, who was the technical director over at PKV, has come and joined Forsythe. Look in the top of the screen, up over the top of the curbs, swings wide. That was advantage. Tagliani, he gets the spot. Then Neil Johnny tries to come back on Paul Tracy, but he regains his composure, and amazingly appears as though he only lost 1 spot.
Another thrill from West Hill, the Cleveland winner this year. Paul Tracy back on the button after starting 6th. Good starting spot by recent standards for that team. The addition of Tom Brown, we heard this morning, Mo Nunn had made the trip over to Europe and was there as well. Of course, he came to the Forsythe team at Road America 2 weeks ago. Sebastian Bourdais took the pole Saturday during qualifying. He's led all the way so far as we work lap 5. This track just a shade under 2.5 miles. 13 turns, the count here. Several chicanes added over the last several years. Of course, this is the track where Gilles Villeneuve lost his life in a Formula One race back in the 70s. There's a chicane there that honors him. Several of these corners, Jan, named for some of the notable drivers who've run here over the years.
They have a Jackie Ickx chicane. They have a Jochen Rindt chicane. Of course, the Gilles Villeneuve Memorial, like you talked about, has a chicane named after him as well. And this kind of is the composure of this racetrack, is you have very long, fast straightaways followed by chicanes. Now, that wasn't the original layout of the circuit, but when you take a fast European track and try to put it into these standards, you oftentimes have to add those chicanes. Bill?
You mentioned that Jochen Rindt chicane. Sebastian Bourdais had a real anxious moment there yesterday. He came through there and missed the turn, and his car got airborne. I mean, it was like 1.5 feet in the air, all 4 wheels, and they damaged the cow catcher, the little piece under the car that, Jan, you could probably explain more about. They decided not to repair that until after the race, but for a moment there, it looked like the damage may be even more severe.
And Bill, when you're talking about a cow catcher, it is essentially, it's just a term I guess you take from railway.
Sure.
In that you want to be sure that debris does not get underneath the under tray, and there is a little splitter type of thing just underneath the front nose.
Well, Robert Dornbos just a couple of car lengths behind the race leader, Sebastian Bourdais. Will Power runs third. When we come back, we'll see if Power can make a move, get closer to Dornbos and Bourdais. Back with more from Belgium.
Michael.
ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium is being brought to you today by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. And by Mazda. On any given weekend, there are more Mazdas road race than any other brand. We welcome you back live to the Circuit Zolder in Belgium, the Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Belgium. First of a 2-race swing in Europe with Jan Bika, Cybert Benjamin. Sebastian Bourdais from the pole in the McDonald's car number 1 has led all the way. Robert Dornbos in the Trust's car number 14 this weekend. And next runs in second spot. That's where they are right now in the championship. It has not been an event-free weekend for Bourdais. Take a look at this.
You heard Bill mention this already. Here is the air time that he took over the top of the chicane, and if you hit those things in that way, there's no question that the car needs to come back onto pit road and get a thorough look over. And we may see some of that today if you're pushing too hard on the brakes on the approach.
Well, Jan, take us around this just under 2.5-mile racetrack.
Well, when you look at the overhead shot as we zoom in and see the layout here, we've talked about the fact that it's just under 2.5 miles, but I think the key feature are all the chicanes. It's a very fast racetrack, but some of the chicanes, 5, 6 is a chicane, as well as the Villeneuve chicane leading up to turn number 7. There's another chicane after the slowest corner on the track. First, you got to go through turn 8, which is flat out over 4 Gs. Then, to the slowest corner on the racetrack, 50 miles an hour, as you approach and come off the Jochen Rindt chicane.
And a narrow racetrack as we get on board here, the 5 car with Will Power, the Aussie Vineyards machine. That is our look at Circuit Zolder. If you'd like to take a lap on the edge with Jan Halen as he roars around Circuit Zolder, log on to the series website, champcar.ws. Working lap number 10, an hour 45, the time of today's event. Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium. Next week, Sunday, the 2nd of September, we'll be at the TT Circuit in Assen in Holland for the second of the 2 European races. Top of your screen running order as well as Cosworth Power to Pastime. As we have mentioned a couple of times, you get a minute's worth here. Minute 15 a couple of weeks ago from Power to Pass at Road America. Here it's down to the normal minute. And there is a certain number of bursts there that you have on that button for the extra 50 horsepower.
You get 10 seconds at a shot. And the idea is you want to save 1 second if you can near the end of the race, because it won't shut you off in 1 second. You'll get all your 10. What a great view here showing the speed and the wheel. Of course, with an overcast day, the signal doesn't always reach the helicopter on the back section of the racetrack, but at that low angle, you can really get an idea of the sense of speed here.
Justin Wilson, Bruno Junqueira right behind there in the white. Sonny's Barbecue 19. They flip-flopped spots on the start. Bruno lined up 4th, Justin 5th. Wilson got the drop on Junqueira. Wilson in that CDW 9 car, whipping by Bruno Junqueira to take over 4th, trailing the top 3 of Bourdais, Dornbos, and Power in the early laps here at Zolder. Watching Paul Tracy there, the Forsyth Index car number 3. Started 6th after that off-course excursion. He's 7th. Neil Johnny right behind him in the Red Bull Gulfstream PKV entry. Running in 8th, Servia, Tracy's teammate in the other Forsyth Index car back in 9th. And then Jan Halen in the Grafenprint car runs 10th. Bill Stevens, how about Neil Johnny's weekend?
Got off to a great start, Rick. He actually drove down from Switzerland with his friends in a Renault that is part of his racing deal, and they took about 5.5 hours to get down here and had a real party coming all the way from Gen, Switzerland. And I asked him, did he get any speeding tickets? And he said, who, me?
Not likely.
So he didn't actually say yes or no. We watch him chasing down Paul Tracy. I think it's interesting about Paul Tracy. We talked earlier about him complimenting the crew and Tom Brown joining the team, but he gave some specifics. He said that he changed the camber, he changed some of the other settings, the wing angles, just some small things on the car. And that's all it took. That Paul Tracy said, it's the first time this year that I feel like I can drive the car. That earlier this season, I essentially couldn't really lean on it because I was afraid it wasn't going to do what it was supposed to.
Well, the number of off-course excursions that Tracy's had this year would certainly lend itself to that description of what the 3 car has been like much of the season. Hey, if you'd like more Champ Car race action, subscribe to Race Director. Go to champcar.ws, the series website. You can choose from 6 different camera angles, live team radios, live telemetry, and much more, all available from your home computer at champcar.ws. Battling throughout the field here, Oriol Servia in front of Jan Halen in that green and white graphic print car. Home game for Halen and the Conquest team of Eric Bachelard. They run in front of Mario Dominguez, moving back into the what is now Minardi Team USA, but a couple of years ago, Mario had a lot of success in that car for Keith Wiggins when it was Team Urdez.
And Jan Halen has already called onto pit road and asked for more front wing by the next time they have one of their pit stops. And of course, looking at the rear wing there, they don't make changes on pit stops at the rear wing. So whatever you want, if you want to put some in or take it out, traditionally, if you have to make an aero change, it's always the front wing.
Halen in his 2nd season in the series as we watch Oriol Servia in the Forsyth Index car number 7. Halen with a 6th a couple of weeks ago. That's his best run in Champ Car. As we pointed out there, remember, he didn't start the season with this team. Matt Halliday drove the first 3 races. Halen came on board at the end of May for the June summer swing. And there are rumblings this weekend from Zolder that Eric Bachelard may be close to a deal that would allow that to grow to a 2-car team for 2008. That would be terrific. Bill Stevens. As we ride with Halen under the Grafenprint Bridge. Some elevation change here in this racetrack, Jan, that I was a little surprised to see.
Elevation changes are always fantastic, and there's one hump just before the Villeneuve chicane where they say that you want to be sure that you don't have to.
Yes, I did.
We're actually working on some communications with our Bill Stevens there.
I can hear myself, but I guess
We can hear you too, Bill.
One of the things that happens when you have satellite communications for audio as well as pictures, all the way from Zolder, Belgium. The 34 of Halen. Lots of enthusiasm and excitement for the series coming to Belgium, of course, largely because of Halen and the Conquest team. They did a lot of media appearances all week, and you can tell by the smile that we've seen on Jan Halen's face the last several weeks as he contemplated coming here. What a big thing this is for these drivers who get a chance to run in front of their home fans. They come to America to race in a major series like Champ Car, and then when they get that opportunity to go home and run in front of the home folks, what a thrill. What a thrill that's got to be.
But can you imagine what it would feel like to roll out of the pits at your home race and then just move over to the side to let some people go by so you can take your time, and the next thing you know, there's a car flying through the air that just comes and careens into you. He said the only thing that didn't need to be repaired on this car was the steering wheel. They didn't have a spare car and spent the entire first day hoping they could even put it together. Bill?
Now, as I started to say before, Jan Halen has a logo that says wheels on the side of his race car. I don't know if we'll get a close enough shot to see it, but that's the name of a restaurant here at Circuit Zolder that's owned by his father and his uncle. And I can tell you this, today, you cannot find a table in that place. All of the Halen fans have turned out to watch their favorite son race out here.
On board with Halen, who continues to run 10th, working lap number 15. Should be about, what, 5 laps down from the first round of pit stops today.
It'll be a bit longer than that. They need to get to lap number 21. Okay, 6. Need to get to 21 in my estimation if you're going to make this a 3-stop race.
Bourdais continues to lead. He's led all the way, gunning for his 6th win of the season. A reminder, our Champ Car World Series continues our European Tour next Sunday, the 2nd. Live coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Holland from TT Circuit Assen. Our coverage at 7 a.m. Eastern, live on ESPN Classic. And for more information, log on to ESPN.com. The eyebrow camera from Jan Halen's graphic print machine as he tries to reel in Oriol Servia and move farther up in the top 10. We'll see if he can get the job done when we come back. Welcome you back to the Circuit Zolder. Coverage of the Champ Car World Series, the 11th race of 2007. The Homatro safety team and those beautiful Mazda safety vehicles on site, of course, for the 2-race European swing. Bourdais is the leader. Dornbos running second. In front of Power, Wilson, and there's Bruno Junqueira occupying 5th. And Dale Coyne's Sonny's barbecue car. 6th belongs to Alex Tagliani. And then Neil Johnny in 7th in front of Paul Tracy. Servia, his teammate, is 9th, and Jan Halen. Home game for Halen. In that 34 car, he runs in 10th spot right now behind the Mazda safety car. And the caution, full course yellow, first one of the day. Due to some track damage at turn 5. Looked as though the Homatro safety team was there to take a look at some of the curbing that might have come loose. And we understand everything looks like it's going to be okay. And we should be ready to go. And with Champ Car on its European vacation, the drivers and teams aren't just racing for wins. Something brand new in the Phanos Resorts European Team Cup. Much like the Canadian Triple Crown this summer, which was owned by Team Australia, the Phanos European Team Cup pits the teams against each other over the 2-race European road trip. Drivers earning points in qualifying and the race, and the team with the most points cumulatively after next week's event in Assen, Holland will hoist the Phanos European Cup for the first time. And we'll have more on that as we move through the day here at Circuit Zolder. Champ Car Grand Prix of Zolder, 11th race of 2007. Sebastian Bourdais, the championship leader, and the front-running cars now look like they're getting ready to make their first round of pit stops.
In fact, I think every car, other than someone taking a crazy gamble, will stop. Remember, you can see the red line. You may have just been able to see a big, wide red line down pit lane. You may not cross that red line until you get to your pit box. It's very narrow. If every car stops at the same time, it's going to be harem scarab time.
Alex Tagliani's crew, the Rocket Sports team. There's the red line there that requires that you be drivers right of that line until you're ready to swing into your pit stall. Safety car continuing to lead the field, and here they come. Bourdais first, of course, followed by Dornbos, Power, everybody.
And that was clever. He had a little shot. See, there's not a pit speed limit until you get to that line right there. You'll see the light flash ahead. When you see that, that means he's on the pit speed limiter. And wasn't that clever? Sebastian Bourdais did a quick little jump before he had to hit the speed limit, but everyone else packed up. This is going to be wild.
Bill Stevens standing by in the 14th pin where Robert Dornbos is headed your way.
You are so correct. This is going to be wild. Track position so important. Let's see who can get in and out of here the quickest. I'm with Robert Dornbos taking off the primary tires, going to the reds. The fuel is going in.
down and away. Now it's very narrow here coming off pit road yet.
And there was a bit of a tussle there between Power. You can hear Bill Stevens setting that one up. Very close quarters between Justin Wilson and some other people still arguing about spaces. Jan Halen and Oriol Servia. Again, they have to stay. You see the lights are still flashing. The pit speed limit does not stop until you get around that Armco exit of the pits.
Now Bruno Junqueira appears to have been the big loser in all this. He was 5th coming to pit road, but he was not among the first 6 to leave, so there could be a problem with the Sonny's Barbecue 19 car.
What a shame.
Still under caution.
They have had a good run. We've talked about that it was one of the best career starts for Dale Coyne and the best start of the year anyway for Bruno Junqueira. But that is not the time to have a bad pit stop when everybody is hitting pit road, because you're just going to lose a ton of track position.
Everyone cleaning their tires, warming them up, getting set for a restart. Before the start today, we detailed our Bill Stevens to take a closer look at just how tough it is to pull off one of these Champ Car pit stops, especially if you're the front wheel man, Bill.
Hey, if you've watched our ESPN Champ Car World Series coverage, you've seen the incredible pit stops these teams pull off. In about 15 seconds, 4 tires and a full load of fuel. Well, thanks to Neil Johnny and his Red Bull TKD racing team, they're going to give me a chance to give it a try. I can't wait. Come on, guys, let's go. All right, car comes in, comes to a stop. It's usually the crew chief. Front tire. Wheel nut comes off. Old wheel off. New wheel on. Wow, look at me. Reverse the gun. Get the wheel nut back on there. Look at that. Give me the old high five.
Well, he didn't get the high five because he was over 15 seconds. But you know, Bill, if you lost the speed, if you lost the commentary, he might pick up another 5 seconds and get the high five.
Well, you don't have to spend energy with the wind it takes to talk like that.
Actually,
while you're trying to wrestle the time.
That was well done. That's not that easy. And nice job, Bill. The fact to be able to do that and hold your breath and get it done, I would have given him a high five.
Absolutely. I didn't see the wheel nut come flying back off the gun, so it wasn't bad at all, I would say. Sebastian Bourdais will be the restart leader. Bourdais and the McDonald's team, Craig Hampson and the boys. Nice job on pit road. Take another look.
And interesting, the reverse strategy of what we had seen for Dornbos. Obviously, he comes in on the reds. Oh, 1, 2. That looked like a couple of turns of front wing, and that is because they went from the red sidewall Bridgestones to the black, and that's that little squirt of speed. That was nicely done. Robert Dornbos is thinking, oh, why didn't I think of that?
So Bourdais has led all the way so far, getting set for a restart here at the Circuit Zolder. Great to have you with us this morning for live coverage of the Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Belgium. We're at Circuit Zolder for the 11th race of the season. Alongside Jan Beekes, Ibrik Benjamin, Bill Stevens with the coverage for us from pit road this week and next as the series makes its first European swing since 2003. Jan Halen, the driver, of course, who has a lot of hopes of his countrymen riding on his shoulders here today. Halen in the graphic grid 34 for the Conquest team. Restart from 10th. To Bill Stevens.
With Michael Cannon commanding things for Robert Dornbos, you probably anticipated that maybe Sebastian was going to sprint away at the start. Now, how does the strategy play into what you can do to maybe keep him in sight?
Well, I don't think it was ever his strategy to try and run away. With these timed races, we have no idea how far we need to really go. So everybody's on the same scenario. The car is very, very balanced. Robert was doing a great job on fuel and staying right with them. Now the game's changed. Everybody can burn fuel, so I think the pace will pick up appreciably here.
Might this be a race that's decided in the pits today?
I think potentially more on the track. We'll wind up on pretty much the same strategy. Only difference is we've got red tires again. Sebastian's on blacks. Stay tuned.
And they were very pleased with their pit stop a few moments ago.
And he said, stay tuned. That is an interesting factor. The length of this stint when you're on reds versus blacks. Again, the reds are higher grip, but they don't keep the grip as long. So Sebastian ran away somewhat the first few laps of the first stint, then started to back up to Dornbos. If this is a short stint, you want to have the reds. If it's a long stint, might be a disadvantage.
See how it plays out when we go green here in a moment. In a few minutes, be sure and grab your mobile device and you can participate and vote in our Mazda virtual pit stop where you try to make the right call. Very interesting question ahead for us today on the Mazda virtual pit stop, and we will start taking your votes in just a couple of moments from your phone or your mobile device. Getting ready for the restart. Heading by the entrance to pit road. Bourdais in the 1 car. Dornbos, Power. 4th place car is the CDW machine of Wilson Tagliani in the Rocket Sports 8. Neil Johnny restarts 6th, and we're back underway. Move to the inside by Tracy.
Not quite.
Tried the dive bomb there to get by the Red Bull car of Johnny for 6th. Couldn't get it done. Dornbos in the Trust 14 car in 2nd spot. Power continues 3rd in the Aussie Vineyards machine.
You see just a whiff of smoke underneath the cars after they make a pit stop. That's because they're much heavier and the cars are rubbing just a little bit at the end of the straightaways with the high downforce. Again, typically they only just rub a little bit when they're full of fuel.
Well, Bobby D, as we've started to call him, Robert Dornbos, has lots of experience, of course, in Europe, where he is from. We talked to him at the start of the weekend about what it means to him to come to a place he has raced at and had some success at before.
Zolder was special for me because it was the first circuit where I got my race license there, so I sort of destroyed my father's car around there. I kept it in one piece, but the tires were gone and all the noises were inside the cockpit were screaming. I got the license and that's where it all started 7 years ago.
Just 7 years ago to get to the top level of motorsports in the Champ Car World Series.
Well, that 7-year number is the same distance of time when he was introduced to Jacques Villeneuve at a race, at a Formula One race. 7 years later from that introduction, he was driving a Formula One car. And that is a very quick study.
Will Power 3rd there in the Aussie Vineyards green and gold machine. Power about 1.5 seconds behind Bobby D in the fight for 2nd spot. There's the CDW9 carrying Plantronics on the rear wing for Justin Wilson. Let's get on board with Power. Take a look back at that gap between he and Wilson through one of the chicanes here at Zolder. Now from Wilson's view of the CDW camera. Off the rear wing of the Aussie Vineyards machine. This is the battle for 3rd spot from Power's vantage point.
I was listening carefully to the onboard audio to get a sense if in fact Michael Cannon's prediction that they're going to run flat out now. I would be surprised because I feel that they had to pit earlier than what the established pit window was. Sure, they got some yellow, which helps you, but I don't think they've had enough yellow to where you can really turn them loose yet.
That was only maybe 2 laps of yellow.
But he obviously is running calculations on the front end and the back end of the race, and obviously they're well on top of it. So we'll have to see if in fact they're starting to turn people loose and start to get after it.
Neil Johnny now starting to apply some pressure to the whole Matro car number 8 of Alex Tagliani. Johnny in the Red Bull Gulfstream PKV machine. Tagliani has burned only 10 seconds of Cosworth power to pass time. Neil Johnny's really been on the button here. Playing defense against Tracy would be my guess as much as anything else.
There was that one opportunity where we know for sure that Neil Johnny was trying to get by Paul Tracy when he dropped a couple wheels off, got out in the dirt and still couldn't pull it off. It shows that even Paul Tracy, when he drops a few wheels off, stays on the hammer and was able to stay ahead of Johnny when he was on power to pass.
Neil Johnny there, you see the eye rise on the rear wing of the 21 car. He is trying hard to track down the car of Tagliani and get up into contention with Wilson. I think Johnny thinks he's got a race car that will get him at least into the top 3 here today. He is really hustling that car. There's Tracy a little bit out of line, taking a look to see if he could make a move on Johnny as they head toward one of the left-hand corners here. 32 minutes into this hour 45 of competition, working lap number 22.
And I think it's worth noting when we talk about the Cosworth power to pass, we talk about 50 horsepower. To us, 50 horsepower in our street car would be like you got a big kick in the rear. But remember, you already have 750, so it's an incremental increase. You can't just be way behind somebody, hit power to pass, and expect you're going to blow by them. You have to set them up and almost be to where you were going to pass anyway, and then just get that additional help by using the Cosworth power to pass.
As we ride with Jan Halen in the Grafenprint 34 car. Right behind him is Graham Rahal in the Metazone car number 2. The other Newman Haas Lanigan car, Rahal at age 18. He's raced. He's been to Europe before. Spent some time in Europe with his dad, Bob, of course, a few years ago when Bobby ran the Jaguar Formula One team. Right in front of Tristan Gomendy in the pay-by-touch 22. Now a little further back, we see the car of Brian Dial, the PCM team. Plain Jane Couture on the 28 and the 29 cars today for Alex Figge and Ryan Dial. Bill?
Jan Halen very happy with his Conquest Racing team, guys. As we know, Dan Clark caused that accident on Friday that pretty much totaled Halen's car. In fact, he told me everything on the car had to be replaced except the steering wheel. But they had a very late night Friday, but on Saturday qualifying, they brought out a car that was competitive, and it's really a tremendous reflection of how skilled those guys are.
Yeah, great effort certainly to get that car back ready to run this weekend. A little further back, we mentioned after the round of pit stops, Mario Dominguez took a huge, he was one of the two drivers. Bruno Junqueira and Mario Dominguez both lost 10 spots on pit road. Hey, 3 races remain in the season. Question today, can series leader Dario Franchitti finally separate himself from Scott Dixon's relentless charge? It's the Optima Batteries IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma on ESPN this afternoon, 3:30 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Graham Rahal with a move there to get by Jan Halen. So Rahal diving to the inside, gets to the top 10. Can Halen come back now and recapture that spot at Zolder? We'll find out when we continue. We'll be right back. Very enthusiastic fans, of course, and a beautiful venue. Circuit Zolder in the town of Zolder, Belgium, hosting the Champ Car World Series. First European tour for Champ Car since the 2003 season. First of 2 events next week in Assen and Holland. Under caution, Alex Viggy in one of the PCM cars has gone off course into one of the gravel traps. They take a moment to get the Holatro safety team along with one of the forklifts over to remove the 29 car. Take a look at what happened. That's the plain Jane Couture machine. I think he's got the visor up, indicating he needs some help to get restarted. And that is why we've gone full course yellow. And look at the gravel that's caught up in the ducting there on the under tray of the race car. You're going to have to bring him around and take a few moments to clean all that out, I would think.
And that is the idea behind the gravel traps. They have extensive gravel traps here in Zolder. Again, the idea, if you get off, it is the replacement of the old catch fencing that you used to have. And obviously, it's a much better alternative because it stays low and there's not fence posts and things that can get to a driver's home.
Great visor cam view today from Jan Halen in the Graphic Print 34. Halen got past 4/10 by Graham Rahal a few moments ago. As we mentioned earlier, Halen, of course, at home here this weekend, along with the entire Conquest team. It's been a busy weekend for Jan. He's had an opportunity to sign a few autographs along the way.
Take a look at the mob scene down here for this autograph session as people have lined up about a quarter of a mile to get the autograph of their favorite Champ Car drivers. And one must-have autograph this weekend is the one of Jan Halen, who was born and raised about 20 miles from the racetrack. There's got to be a really big kick for you.
This is awesome, man. This is, to see this many people here in Belgium, and to come here after all these years, to come back to Belgium and do a home race, it's fantastic.
You probably have people coming up and telling you that they come from the same town where you were born.
Oh yeah, I grew up just around the corner, so there's a lot of familiar faces, and a lot of people that have been supporting me my whole career. So it's awesome to see them all out here.
We'll let him get back to work because there are a lot of people that want his signature.
Jan Halen, almost a national hero in Belgium, and at home here in front of the fans at Circuit Zolder. Big day, big weekend for the entire Conquest team. Eric Bachelot, of course, a native of Belgium as well. And there is the 34 car with graphic print on the side pods. That new paint scheme, that green, white, black, and silver look that was designed for that car. Beautiful new scheme that debuted a couple of weeks ago at Road America. And you get Halen's view from the cockpit of the DP01 race car. Set for a restart. Alex Viggy off a couple of moments ago. Holatro safety team over to rescue the 29 car, and as we mentioned, he had caught a lot of gravel up under the under tray of the 29, so they'll have to bring that car around to pit road. The PCM team will have to go to work. The Mazda pace car team on hand, and they lead the field around as we prepare for another restart here at Circuit Zolder. Discussion of whether or not Graham Rahal might try to get a pit stop in here. A reminder, if you miss any of today's Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium or would like to see our coverage again, our Champ Car re-airs tonight on ESPN2, 11 p.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Eastern. You can revisit all the excitement of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium tonight.
One thing you'll notice just before you come back to the restart, you heard it with Jan Halen, and you're hearing it just at the end with Graham Rahal. When you run around behind the pace car, And Rahal is one of the 4 cars that are making a pit stop now. Again, this is the alternate strategy that makes some of the other races so interesting. I don't think you do it if you're a front runner, but if you're struggling and you're near the back, go ahead and take a chance.
Oriel Serbia will stop as well. Rahal back in 10th. Serbia running 9th. Bill Stevens.
Graham Rahal is headed for the pits, and he was very unhappy with his qualifying only because the car was good, but he got caught up in some traffic and a red light and was unable to make his fast lap. So he has started a lot further back in the field than he wanted, but as we've seen, he's beginning to make slow progress through the field. Red tires off, primary's on, and he's out.
And Bill, very interesting, they decided not to change any tires for Graham Rahal. That was a splash only. You don't see that very often, but that was a guarantee. They wanted to be sure that if he was stopping with 4 other cars, they wanted to be the first ones out. So that is a track position race for the back of the field, which could play out later.
Before the start this weekend, we had a chance to take a ride around here. Several drivers in the Champ Car World Series discussing this with us.
You approach very high speed, and it's a very fast corner for us down into 4th gear. And then you reach turn 2, you're up in 5th gear, back down to 4th. Basically, just go back to full throttle and head into the sweeper down towards turn 4.
Coming down the back straight into the turn 5 chicane, you've got to have good braking, take a little bit of curb, and have a very good exit because you're heading up a hill. So if you get it wrong, you lose a lot of time.
Braking into 7 is, you know, it's a cool corner. The chicane there is, you know, it's challenging. It's a difficult corner, and then accelerating up into 8. You know, just flat out in a Champ car. You know, really nice.
Down into the last corner, which is very hard braking. The car stands on its nose, trying to go around the inside curve before you squeeze the power onto the last right onto the start-finish straight.
Always great to get their perspective on each section of the racetrack, and you have to kind of break down the racetrack. The drivers are all used to this because when you come back to talk to your engineer, it's never how's the car around the whole track. It's always segment by segment, and that's the way engineers dissect it. And you'll actually live with a car sometimes. It's not so good in one segment because an engineer will know, you know what, if you can live with it here, we'll save a lot more time if we can fix it in another location.
Scoring summary, top of your screen, courtesy of Bridgestone. Working lap number 28, about an hour of racing to go. Bourdais has led all the way so far. 1 round of green flag stops for the front-running cars, and then we had 4 cars back around 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th decide to come to pit road during this caution, trying to jump ahead next time there is a pit stop. And we'll see what happens with that strategy.
They're getting with it.
Coming to the green flag. Justin Wilson will restart 4th. There's Bourdais, Dornbos, Power, and Wilson back underway.
Another great restart for Sebastian, but Dornbos is much closer than last time. Again, on different sidewall tires, and as the fuel load burns down, you would think if you were on red sidewall Bridgestones that yellow would have been great.
Sure.
Tires cool, get everything kind of refreshed, but yet he still can't seem to stay with Bourdais.
Now, Bourdais has been the master here all weekend long, trying to finish off what would be his 4th consecutive Champ Car World Series championship with quite a flourish here. He's 5 for 10 on the season now. Bagged his 30th career pole here this weekend in just 5 seasons of Champ Car World Series action. Debuted in 03, won a couple of races in his rookie year, and has been the dominant player starting in 2004. His win a couple of weeks ago at Road America, a track he had never won at before. That knocked a big one off Bourdais' list, I think, before moving on to Formula One come 2008.
Now, it's worth saying that between now and when the leaders stop again, if there is a caution flag, that is what those 4 people who pitted are looking for.
Sure.
If it just stays green and the leaders pit and come back out and keep on their sequence, then the gamble didn't pay. But if somehow we have a full course caution, let's say in the next 5 or so laps, all of a sudden the 4 people who pitted are in the catbird seat.
On board with Graham Rahal, the Metazone car number 2, one of the 4 drivers who made that pit stop under the last caution. Right now, Rahal being shown in 10th position. Bill Stevens.
Yeah, guys, I just spoke to John Susconikas. He is the crew chief for Graham Rahal. I think there was a little chess game going on there. They put the tires out as if they were going to change them, but the plan was to add fuel. They were thinking that, you know, maybe if everybody else thinks we're going to do tires, it might convince them that they need to do it too. For whatever reason, they did not change the tires. He said by going with just fuel, they thought maybe they could pick up track position.
Yeah, it's one of those cat and mouse kind of things. They're hoping to sort of bake and fake somebody into changing tires when in fact they've been in fairly recently. And track position, as we can see, when you start running in this kind of turbulence, that if you can pick up a couple positions in the pits, obviously sometimes that's easier than the kind of work you're going to have to do to get those positions on the track.
Riding with Ray Hall, the Medizone car number 2. Right there right now behind Ryan Dial in the Pacific Coast Motorsports car number 28, Plain Jane Couture on the side pods of Dial's car and Alex Figge's car. There's the pay-by-touch machine of Tristan Gomendy, one of the Europeans in the series, of course a native of France. He's on the Bridgestone Reds, the alternate Potenzas right now. For the PKV team, Gomendy advancing to 8th with those cars that came to pit road. Then Alex Figge going off. Got a look there a moment ago at Catherine Legg, and there she is again in the other Sonny's Barbecue 11 car for Dale Coyne Racing. Riding again with Ray Hall. Champ Car World Series now available on the new iPhone. The site showcases the latest videos from Champ Car, including previews, recaps, interviews, short video capsules of the latest events. If you have the iPhone, go to the new website, ccws2.com/i. The site updated regularly with the best from Champ Car for fans to watch on the go. Up over the hill under the Graph and Print Bridge, there is Ray Hall, 10th position. Now he's burned more than half of his Cosworth power to pass. He won't have much left in the bank, the extra 50 horsepower, for the second half of this race.
But you want to get your positions when you have problems in qualifying, as Graham did. You want to get your positions when you got a shot. If you're running in the lead, you want to save your power to pass in case there's some kind of dice for the lead in the last few laps. And we're starting to get a dice back here.
That's Ray Hall, I think. No, he's right there behind Dial in the 28. A couple of spots further back, Tracy Tagliani and Serbia mixing it up. There's Ryan Dial in the PCM 28 car. A couple cars a little further back. One driver stepping out of line to take a look at making a move. Ryan Dial in 9th position. He's used 5 seconds of his Cosworth power to pass so far. Bill?
And the last time we saw Ryan Dial, he was recovering from that broken collarbone, and I saw him on Friday here at the track, and I asked him how he was feeling. He says he's completely healed. There's no pain whatsoever. I asked him any difficulties at all. He said, yes, here in Belgium, you actually have to pay to use the public restrooms, and it's getting expensive. Spoken like a true Scotsman, I guess.
Well, this new Plain Jane contract, which is a clothing company, we know that he's quite the style boy. We don't know if he's actually going and fixing his hair or if he's actually paying for the services.
Right there, yep.
Ray Hall trying to close in there on Dial. That's Dial in the 28, the silver car.
And we say that tongue-in-cheek. That comes from his teammate, Alex Figge. They tease each other about who spends more time in the shopping mall. So, you know, I do think that for them, it's actually a fun sponsor for them because they like the whole sort of Euro style culture and the whole fashion industry, and there's some other drivers here that wouldn't have a clue what to do with that.
I'm Rick Benjamin. Fashion critic Jan Binkis is alongside. Bill Stevens is updating us from pit road today. Our Cosworth power to pass comparison between Tristan Gomendy and the pay-by-touch 22, who runs right now in 8th. Ryan Dial runs 9th. Gomendy hasn't even touched the button today. Dial's used just 5 seconds, so they both have quite a bit to play with. But as we pointed out, the driver next in line there in the Medizone 2 car, that's young Mr. Ray Hall. He's burned up 31 seconds of his Cosworth power to pass, extra 50 horsepower. Now Gomendy, as we look there at Dial, Gomendy in the pay-by-touch machine, he's picked up 7 spots. Yeah, on some of that because of those drivers that came to pit road during the last caution, but it's been a good run for Gomendy. Not quite a home event for him, but nearly. This is the driver who's the home team this weekend, the Graph and Print Conquest squad, the 34 car of Jan Halen. Onboard views over in Belgium today. I'm guessing that perhaps our helicopter can't get up very high. A low ceiling, it appears, on a cloud cover today at Circuit Zolder, and that could be one of the reasons why. We apologize for that. There's the 34. As Halen continues to run in 7th spot now. He's picked up a couple of spots because of those drivers that pitted under the previous caution. Next week, Champ Car World Series European Tour continues Sunday, September 2nd. Our live coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Holland from TT Circuit Assen. 7 o'clock Eastern Time next Sunday morning on ESPN Classic. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Sebastian Bourdais has been the dominant player, gunning for his 6th win of the season. Robert Dornbos and Will Power would love nothing more than to change those plans. Wilson and Johnny gunning for the top 3 too. We'll see how that all plays out when we come back. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium being brought to you today by CDW. The right technology right away. 35 laps complete at Circuit Zolder in Zolder, Belgium on ESPN. Coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium, 11th race of 2007. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Beekes is alongside Bill Stevens with our coverage pitside this week and next. First 2-race swing of Europe for Champ Car at 4 seasons. 4 years ago, Sebastian Bourdais doubled up at Brands Hatch and at Lausitz in Germany, and Bourdais trying for 3 straight in Europe. What record does this guy not own? Gunning for his 4th consecutive championship. He would be earning his 6th win of the season if he can close the deal here today. 30th career pole in just 4 seasons, well, 5 seasons now. And Bourdais has led 36 laps, all 36 since the lights went out. And we put the field in motion today at Circuit Zolder. And for Bourdais, who's coming home essentially next year to run in Formula One, racing back in Europe, a thrill for him, I know. Looks like he wanted to make a statement here today.
He certainly made a statement in qualifying. Now it's a case of just being consistent, getting the fuel mileage that he hears from pit road. Right at the point he may actually make a pit stop now. Nope, he's going to wait one more time, but he's in the window when they'll start talking to him about making sure that he keeps his pace and fuel mileage, and they'll get him back on strategy. But no question, he stamped his authority when it came down to putting the laps down in qualifying.
Driver of the McDonald's car number 1 for Newman, Haas, Lanigan Racing. Your Mazda running order, top of your screen. Look at the gap he's built over Bobby D. Dornbos in the Trust 14 car. Almost 5 seconds back. Another 8/10ths back to Will Power in the Aussie Vineyards 5. There's Dornbos. Earlier, Dornbos was just a couple of car lengths behind Bourdais. But since that first pit stop, Dornbos on the red tires, the Bridgestone alternate Potenzas. Maybe it's a situation, Jan, you had pointed out earlier. A lot of drivers said the Reds were good for just a couple of laps. He's tried to run them for a full stint. Take a look at the points championship now. As they run, Dornbos starting at a 38 back. Well, at the moment, he would have lost even further ground to Bourdais if the race were to finish in this order.
And of course, there are no points awarded until the actual race finishes. So that's a predictive graphic. As we all know, it's not over until the checkered flag waves. There's lots of sayings that we could use in place of that, but Bourdais knows that well, knows he just has to stay consistent, but when he needs speed, it certainly appears as though he's got lots in the bag.
On board Will Power, the Aussie Vineyards 5 car. Power's run 3rd much of the day. If you want more from Champ Car, well, we've got the answer for you. Go to the series website and subscribe to Race Director. ChampCar.ws is the website. You can pick from 6 different cameras, live team radios, live telemetry, and more. It's all available on your home computer, your PC, or your laptop from ChampCar.ws. CW9 machine, Justin Wilson back there in 4th. For the Roo Sport team, interesting development this week leading up to this event. Rocket Sports and Roo Sport had come together, 2 single-car efforts for 2007 under the R Sports banner. They made the decision this week to go back to Rocket Sports and Roo Sport. They're still cooperating, but for marketing purposes primarily, the decision was made to kind of split the teams back up, at least by name. So you've got the Holmatro 8 car for Rocket Sports. That's Alex Tagliani running right there with Paul Tracy. That's the fight for 11th. And then Oriol Servia in the other Forsyth Index machine, the 7 car rather. And Servia right now shown in 13th spot. At least some of the drivers involved losing some positions because they made an early pit stop under yellow. Yeah, you were saying the gamble would pay off for them under a certain scenario. This doesn't look like the scenario.
If there's not a caution, and we're expecting the leaders to come in this lap. So if the leaders get in and out and there isn't a caution, then yes, they sort of lost their golden opportunity here. They will be on a different sequence. They'll have one more shot, but the time is getting slim for that gamble to pay off.
Indications that the leaders are headed to pit road as we watch this battle back for 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Bruno Junqueira. Here comes Dornbos, Bill Stevens.
Dornbos is already in there waiting for Sebastian Bourdais further down the pit, but as far as Dornbos is concerned, the 4 tires go on. I do not believe they made an adjustment of the car, just the tires and the fuel as Jan Halen swings by Dornbos as he comes in for his pit stop.
So Bourdais must be going one lap further, Jan.
And that is sort of characteristic of Sebastian Bourdais. When you have things, you have a handle on everything, and you can do one extra lap, that is just more money in the bank for Bourdais.
Graphic print 34 of Jan Halen down and away with a fresh set of Bridgestone Potenzas. There's Dornbos in the Trust Jumbo Supermarkets 14.
And we did hear Michael Cannon, his engineer, say we're not worried about fuel. In fact, there was radio communications to Dornbos. Try and chase down Sebastian, use the fuel, go ahead and use the power to pass. But even with that, he couldn't catch him, and Bourdais saves fuel, gets another lap, and now pits. He's just dominating.
Here comes the McDonald's machine. Champion Sebastian Bourdais gunning for his 4th title in a row. The points leader, he's dominated so far. Billy sent it right your way.
And guys, even though he is dominant today, they are still fine-tuning that car. In the last pit stop, they dialed front wing in. They just told Sebastian that they were going to, as you can see, they undialed that front wing on this pit stop. The tires are on, waiting for as much fuel as possible. The pit stop is over.
Interesting, Bill, they did one side only. That was the left side. And it looked to me, from my vantage point, as they added some more. So there is times when they will actually say the opposite on the radio so that the competitors...
No.
Yes, can you believe that?
Poker being played on pit road, I am stunned. But that you would suggest such.
But they added about a half a turn to only one left front wing. I would say that's about as minor of an adjustment as you can do on one of these cars.
Got a look there at the 15 car of Simone Pagenaud, the other Aussie Vineyards machine. Another driver back in his native continent at least. Pagenaud from France, of course, advancing to 5th on the running order of the previous lap, and now 2nd.
Yeah. He should come in, though. See, he was also able to stay out to gain him. It was all dependent on how quick he could do on that in lap.
Front wing on Bourdais.
So here comes the 15 car of Pagenaud. Will Power back on the racetrack. Now he's got a set of the Bridgestone Reds, the softer alternates. Here comes Pagenaud. The Aussie Vineyards team are going up on the jacks. Set of Bridgestone Blacks going on.
Add on the Sebastian Bourdais front wing adjustment.
And he is down and away.
Okay.
So here comes Pagenaud after making his 2nd stop of the day on lap 42. Pagenaud also able to go, as Jan pointed out, one lap further on fuel. Does that gain him any ground? He's given up a lot of track position here by doing this.
It gains you ground on your in lap, in that when people are out having filled up with fuel on cold tires and a full fuel load, you get one more lap at speed when you're light and the tires are hot. So it's dependent on how hard he was able to push on that in lap.
On board the Metazone 2 car of Graham Rahal. Now he has advanced to the lead. Now take it back about 12 laps. Rahal led a group of 4 cars that came to pit road under the caution we had for some curbing that had come loose over at turn 5. TZ, John Tzazanikis and the boys for the new Manaz-Lanigan team in the 2 car decided to bring Rahal in quickly. They just gave him fuel, sent him back out, and this has put him at least track position-wise at the head of the class.
But there is a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit this weekend having been imposed on pit lane. Normally it's 50. And so you're going to lose over 45 seconds on pit lane when you make that pit stop. So yes, Graham Rahal is leading at the moment, but will drop back well in the order. In fact, probably farther back than when they made that gamble of a pit stop. So unfortunately, unless there's a timely caution, it's going to hurt Rahal, I think. But he has at least some clear running, which is what their goal was.
Graham Rahal at age 18, his first Champ Car 480 Europe in his rookie season. Very impressive. Couple of podiums for Rahal. Got a look there earlier at Catherine Legg in the 11 car, the Dale Coyne Sonny's Barbecue entry. She's got a lap down now. Back in 15th. There's Paul Tracy in the Forsyth Index car number 3. Tracy shown 3rd behind Alex Tagliani. There's the Sonny's Barbecue 19 for Bruno Junqueira. Qualified 4th this weekend. They went on that early pit stop strategy for their 2nd stop here at Circuit Zolder. There's the Homatro Rescue Tools car of Tagliani. Shown in 2nd right now. One of the drivers along with Rahal who came to pit road during that 2nd caution. Trying to take advantage of an alternate strategy. Before the start today, we had a chance to talk to Tags about coming here to Europe, an opportunity to race over here, and the enthusiastic fans he's encountered.
Well, you know, the European countries are very close to each other, so it gives the chances to a lot of French people and Italian people to come in and be fans that never seen, you know, champ cars. So having a little bit of Italian background and, you know, speaking Italian very well, you know, I'm pretty sure that and I'm gonna see some fans at the track that all of a sudden start screaming in Italian, and it's gonna be just fun to you know, be able to speak the third language at the racetrack for a champ car event.
Alex Tagliani excited to be here, as everyone involved with champ car is, at Zolder in Belgium and next week in Holland. And a reminder, the Champ Car World Series continues our European tour next Sunday, September 2nd, Labor Day weekend. Our live coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Holland from TT Circuit Assen, 7 o'clock Eastern Time next Sunday morning. Get up early with us for breakfast on ESPN Classic. More information at ESPN.com. Alex Tagliani moving by the Sonny's Barbecue car of Catherine Legg. He is second, trying to get close to Graham Rahal. We'll see if he can come closer to the leader. We continue this morning from Belgium. Back at Circuit Zolder, a reminder about the young driver who won the $2 million Champ Car Atlantic prize. The Champ Car Atlantic Championship powered by Mazda, Rafael Matos for Belo Horizonte, Brazil. 6 wins in the 12-race Atlantic season. He capped the championship year with a great run behind winner Frank Pereira a couple of weeks ago. At Road America, collected that $2 million symbolic check, which Matos trusts will help him earn a ride in the Champ Car World Series next year. Graham Rahal out of the Atlantic Series a year ago. He was the runner-up in the championship to Simone Pagenaud, moving to Newman, Haas, Lanigan. Bridgestone running order, top of your screen. We're under green, working lap 47. And Rahal, because of the pit stop sequencing, 18 seconds to the good, but here he comes back for his 3rd stop of the day on him with 36 minutes to go. I think he's going to need a 4th stop. What do you think?
It is a case where he most likely will, but see, they were planning, taking a gamble on a yellow.
He's coming.
Bill Stevens standing by in the Newman Haas Lanigan pit area as the Metazone team gets ready to service the 2 car of leader Graham Rahal. Billy's coming your way.
John Chisonicus again, the crew chief. Thanks, Rick. And here comes Graham Rahal. And no hip fake this time. They will change the tires this time and put on fuel. No adjustments to the car.
Alternates going on the 2 car.
Well, it was interesting. He said no adjustments to the car, and that was almost like you saw kind of a little, just a gesture, almost a hidden wing adjustment. It was where you stand in front and give it one of those little half twists. Hey, Bill, what'd you see?
Jan, that is exactly what happened on Sebastian Bourdais' pit stop. You saw the fellow who was adjusting the left front, but when the right front tire change was done, he reached around very surreptitiously and adjusted the right side on that car.
Very interesting, holding the cars close to the vest. Now we're seeing some power to pass. There was power to pass and the power not to be passed. That's Dornbos behind Graham Rahal, who has just left the pits. He sees the flashing light and the power to pass ahead. And Rahal trying to get his tires up to temperature. They're both on it for position.
Neil Johnny back there in the Red Bull car for the PKV team trying to make a move. These drivers running in, what, 5th, 6th, and 7th right now. Race leader is Bruno Junqueira. Now, he's one of the drivers in the Dale Coyne car, the Sonny's Barbecue entry, who also was on that alternate stop strategy, early stopping under the 2nd yellow with Rahal, but Junqueira able to go an extra lap. That little battle within a battle. Bruno, of course, used to drive the 2 car up until this season. There's the CDW 9 of Justin Wilson. Started 5th today, shown 3rd right now. 5 car, the Aussie Vineyards machine of Willpower. 3rd on the board behind Wilson. There's the gap between the 2. And now that stop has taken place for those drivers, Bruno's headed to pit road. So Sebastian Bourdais cycles back into the lead. There comes Bruno. Oh, and someone's lost a wheel. Oh, 3-wheeling it. That's one of the Minardi USA cars. Which one is that? Is that Dornbos? And we're hearing it's Mario Dominguez. Bill Stevens.
Just a few moments ago, Mario told his pit crew the wheel does not feel right. Something is amiss. Well, he was right. You saw what happened.
Right rear tire came off the Ford car for Mario Dominguez, who's subbing his 4th team of the season. driving the Ticketmaster machine in relief of Speedy Dan Clark.
Oh, it's already loose at that point. Mario had felt it well in advance of that, as Bill had documented. And they have safety catches that keep it on for a while, but don't keep it on for good.
Yeah, you can see a little piece come flying off as the wheel departed the right rear corner of the 4-car. And Dominguez stopped on the racetrack, so we're full course yellow. Now, what does that do to the drivers that just stopped?
I think most people have cycled through before the yellow, so it should hold everyone's station. So they just missed their opportunity by a bit.
So the field under caution: Bourdais, Wilson, Power, Pagenaud. Bridgestone running order, top of your screen. One team getting ready to set up for a pit stop. Catherine Legge had a problem earlier today. This was in the morning warm-up. Wheel came off once. Safety crew members reattached it. It came off a second time, beaching her on the racetrack.
And you can see those are rain tires. That was going out, just doing an installation lap, and most likely wasn't tightened when it left the pits. The safety team tried to put it back on, give her a flat toe, but without an air wrench, just putting it on by hand, that safety catch, as we just saw Mario Dominguez demonstrate, won't hold it on for a full lap.
Mazda pace car, Champ Car pace car team on hand for the European swing. The pace car at RX-8 leading the field. Bourdais up front, second in line should be Justin Wilson, then Power, Pagenaud, and Rahal.
See, some of these drivers that are on alternate strategy, like Pagenaud, it paid for them. They definitely took advantage of that. And it's interesting to see that for Pagenaud and for Rahal, it paid off. But that has pushed Dornbos now back behind them into 6th, considering he was the second fastest car early on.
Mario Dominguez had been up in 6th a few moments ago before the wheel came off following his pit stop, as we are well into the second half of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium. Sebastian Bourdais will see if he can close the deal when we continue from Zolder. The Champ Car World Series European trip, first time since 2003. We welcome you back live to the Circuit Zolder in Zolder, Belgium. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes, Bill Stevens on pit road. The lap's winding down, about 28 minutes of racing to go. Caution period because Mario Dominguez lost his right rear wheel after making a green flag stop. And this opened up the door for many of the leaders to come to pit road. Justin Wilson running in the top 5 much of the day for the Rousport team. The CDW 9 car set of Bridgestone Potenza Blackwall tires, the standard tire, going back on the 9 for Wilson from Great Britain. Sebastian Bourdais has led just about all day other than during his pit stops. They coming to pit road for what all these teams trust may be the final time of the day. Set of Bridgestone Blacks going on the McDonald's car number 1. Graham Rahal coming back in as well. And then everyone slowly off pit road, that 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. Now, Simone Pagenaud had stopped
to Rousport. I'll talk to Phil.
just before this caution period. And Simone Pagenaud not stopping at this point. Looks like he may be the restart leader.
And Simone Pagenaud's team was set up for him to stop. I have a feeling that there was some radio miscommunication, because when you see Graham Rahal and Sebastian Bourdais stop, who are both on different strategies, the fact that they both pitted means that they feel they can make it from the end here. They want to get back on the same strategy.
So Pagenaud will be the restart leader in front of Jan Halen and Tristan Gomedy. 3 races to go in the IndyCar Series season. And championship leader Dario Franchitti hoping he can separate himself from Scott Dixon's relentless charge. Battle resumes this afternoon. The Optima Batteries IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's on ESPN at 3:30 Eastern Time. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
So now the remaining gamble is that you have Simone Pagenaud, who either decided at the last minute not to stop or missed the radio call, and everyone else behind him thinking that there'll be enough caution to make it to the end and they won't have to go to the pits again. So very interesting when you see people like Sebastian Bourdais, Justin Wilson, Graham Rahal, those again like a guy, Graham Rahal, who had stopped earlier. They obviously have both team cars, in my opinion, going the same strategy. They got to be pretty confident.
Watching the Trust 14 car, Robert Dornbos second in the championship. He will line up back in the field. Bill Stevens had a chance to try his luck at fueling one of these cars.
Whenever you watch the Champ Car World Series on ESPN, you got to be impressed with the pit stops. These guys refuel the car and change the tires in under 15 seconds. I'm going to give it a try with Neil Johnny and his Red Bull PKV racing team. This is the fuel rig on a pit stop. This has the mount flush in here, and you got to push it right in. And then as the fuel is going in, you watch that window. When the fuel bubbles out, the fuel is all in the car. And you pull it away, and the pit stop is over. Now I have to go lay down for an hour.
Well, very interesting, Bill. And of course, there wasn't fuel in there when Bill was demonstrating that because he didn't have all the full fireproof gear. But that's a heavy piece of equipment.
Hey, you can join Champ Car and its sponsors support the Hole in the Wall Camp's Lap Leaders program. Make a donation for every lap led by your favorite driver. Log on to the website, champcar.ws. Today, Sebastian Bourdais has led 43 of the 51 laps we've completed at Circuit Zolder in Zolder, Belgium. The Champ Car World Series Grand Prix of Belgium, first of a two-race European swing. Next Sunday, the TT Circuit Assen in Holland for the first time ever. First time, in fact, that Champ Car will have run in Holland. First European swing in 4 seasons for the series. On board here with Halen at eyebrow cam, if you will, from the visor of his helmet.
And to follow up on what Bill was talking about, when you saw how difficult it is to have that fuel probe centered, a lot of the teams practice that in the shop. The Newman Haas team actually has a pneumatic cylinder. They launch a car across the shop, and they practice it over and over and over to get a moving car and that probe to get it seated perfectly every time.
Attention to detail means everything in the Champ Car World Series. Mazda running over top of your screen. Green flag back out to begin lap 53. Just under 24 minutes of action to go. Pagenaud, Halen, Golmady, Junqueira, Bourdais in the top 5. Very different pit strategies now for these front-running cars. On board Halen. The graphic print team for Eric Bachelard's Conquest squad.
For those in the front, they just have to run like rabbits because that's their only hope is that the people behind are going to feel as though they're in fuel trouble and they're going to have to slow down and save fuel. If they've got their calculations right and they're not in fuel trouble, these guys are going to fall well back in the order. But hey, just stand on it and hope for the best.
Well, according to the numbers I'm seeing, Jan, Simone Pagenaud and Jan Halen have only made 2 stops. They've got to stop one more time.
Oh, yes, they for sure have to stop, but they chose not to stop when everyone just did, thinking that there wasn't enough fuel to make it. So if they're right, it's a great call. But if everyone behind you can make it to the end after making those 3 stops, it was a bad call.
You're cooked.
Well, slightly.
On board here, the Metazone machine of Graham Rahal. Led laps earlier today, 7th in the running order right now.
And you have to tip your hat because for the Newman Haas Lanigan boys and Graham Rahal for going out of sequence. They went off of sequence when they needed to, and they got right back on sequence when they had the opportunity. So that really paid for them.
On board the CDW9 car, the Roo Sport machine of Justin Wilson. Wilson in 7th position. This is where he mentioned earlier in that trip around the racetrack, you stand the car on its nose there.
There's a few places here where you have over 4 Gs on the brakes. The highest G loading you have in the corners, lateral, side to side that is just over 3 Gs, which really gets your attention. But on the brakes, when you get over 4 Gs when you hit the pedal, that's 4 times your driver's weight, 4 times the weight of the car. It's almost like you're hanging on the belts when you get on the brakes. It's pretty phenomenal stopping power.
The 9 car of Wilson, 7th in the running order at the moment.
Oh, here comes Bourdais by Junqueira.
Oh, Bruno Junqueira, his ex-teammate. They nearly got together. Junqueira had to squeeze the brakes hard in the Sonny's Barbecue 19. Bourdais to 4th in the running order. On board Rahal. Back in 6th behind Junqueira. Cosworth power to pass time. Well, Rahal's burned up 34 seconds of his. Bourdais used 17. Here's another look at the move.
And that's an aggressive move, putting yourself in a position to where Bruno Junqueira can't turn into the corner. That's That's how you have to make passes on this type of a racetrack. We talked about that's one of the places where you would be almost 4 Gs on the brakes. Think about getting on the brakes, essentially hanging on the belts, and at the same time, you're trying to time it where you shoot into position and get to the inside of Junqueira. That was well done.
20 minutes to go today at the Circuit Zolder. Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium from Circuit Zolder in Belgium. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes. Bill Stevens is pit side for us this weekend and next. Solo act for Billy the next couple of weeks when we move to Holland as well next Sunday. Great to have you with us on ESPN. Coverage of the Champ Car World Series all season long. Final 5 races of 2007, and Bourdais, gunning for his 4th consecutive title, has been the dominant player. But right now, Simone Pagenaud with the lead of just under 2 seconds. Bourdais has moved to 4th. Alternate pit stops has the field jumbled up as we get into the last 20 minutes here at Zolder.
Remember earlier you said that, wow, Graham Rahal has used a lot of his power to pass early on. Well, he moved up a lot of positions, went on an alternate strategy, but now he doesn't have as much left when it comes to the critical part of the race. But his teammate Sebastian Bourdais did. So he used his power to pass. He squeezed by his former teammate Junqueira, and now it's going to be a harder road for his teammate Graham Rahal.
Bruno Junqueira holding on to 5th in Dale Coyne's 19 car, the Sonny's barbecue machine. And he's got a good bit of power to pass remaining. 48 seconds worth, as a matter of fact, to play defense on against Graham Rahal. Rahal pretty pumped about coming over here for the first Champ Car European swing in 4 seasons. We talked to him about that.
Lived in England for about 8 months when Dad ran Jaguar Formula 1 team. So it's kind of like going back home for me. Spent a lot of time there. I think, you know, for us, we've spent a lot of hours of preparation as a team to go there. So hopefully we can do a good job.
And they have done a good job here today, pursuing different strategies to try to give Rahal an opportunity to move up. Didn't qualify particularly well. In fact, started back in 13th spot alongside Catherine Legg in the 7th row today.
There have been some reports on the racetrack of a few drops of moisture. Now that would throw a wrinkle into things. If all of a sudden we got some precipitation and then you slow way up, that would answer what's going to happen for the pit strategy. But then again, if it really started to rain, you'd have to pit anyway to get rain tires.
So you remember Mark Trumbull?
Oh, I do. That was one of the best races of the year.
Absolutely. Oh, one car off into the weeds. That might have been one of the Aussie Vineyards cars. That would have been Will Power back there. Behind Justin Wilson as they mix it up for 7th and 8th. There's Bobby D in the Trust 14. He's got only 11 seconds of Cosworth power to pass time left as he tries to defend against Neil Johnny, who runs 11th. Hey, the Champ Car World Series available for you now on the new iPhone. Brand new website showcasing the latest Champ Car videos, previews, recaps, interviews, short capsules of the latest events. If you have the new iPhone, go to the new website, ccws2.com/i. The site updated regularly with the best from the Champ Car World Series. Watch on the go with your iPhone. Simone Pagenaud has his eyes on the checkered flag. Working lap 58, 17.5 minutes of racing to go here at Circuit Zolder. Pagenaud over Jan Halen, who's moved to 2nd. Boy, you know the fans at Zolder have got to be loving this. There is Pagenaud.
Especially loving it if they don't realize he has to make another pit stop.
Now, Bill Stevens, what about the Aussie Vineyard squad? They know they've got to bring Pagenaud pit side at least one more time.
Yes, and I'm with Derek Walker, who may have that answer. Will we see a pit stop pretty soon for Simone?
Yeah, unfortunately, radio communication went down and he missed his stop. So he's a bit out of sequence, not by choice. It was an accident. So, yeah, he'll be in soon.
And guys, when you take a look at the top 4 drivers here, they're all international drivers, and the top 3 are from this area of the world. So the fans certainly are getting their money's worth today.
And the only brake bill that they could catch at the moment is if it actually started to rain to where you needed rain tires and everyone had to stop, then you could stop with an advantage of being in the lead and you'd be in the catbird seat. But I think it appears as though, at least from these pictures, that whatever raindrops there were don't seem to be getting any heavier.
It's been overcast all day at Circuit Zolder. On board Jan Halen, the Graphic Print 34 car. For the Conquest team, Belgian native Eric Bachelot. Mentioned earlier, rumblings this weekend in the paddock at Circuit Zolder that may well expand to a 2-car team. Some new investment may be coming Conquest's way, and that would be a big boost for that squad. As You watch Pagenaud. Coming off his best finish of the season, Jan Halen 2 weeks ago at Road America. Ran 6th in the graphic print car. Packed house at Zolder. Fans turned out in droves Friday and better crowds yesterday, and today hard to find a place to park, we're told. The McDonald's machine of Sebastian Bourdais, the championship leader, running in front of Tristan Gomedy now. He's gotten by Gomedy. Bourdais has to take over 3rd. Gomedy, one of those 3 drivers that has made only 2 stops so far as we get down to the final 15 minutes today at Circuit Zolder.
Gomedy loves that strategy, whether he or the PKV team likes to use that strategy, but has found himself in so many races being on a different strategy to what other people are, battling at the end and always looking over his shoulder or looking at the steering wheel, wonder how much fuel I need and when do I have to stop again.
That was Houston back in the first month of the season back in April. He led laps very late, but got caught out, had to make a pit stop with just a couple of minutes to go in that timed event. There's Justin Wilson trying to track down Graham Rahal as they run 6th and 7th. Talking about Gomedy, and the pay-by-touch 22 car hasn't even touched the power to pass button yet. So he's got that extra Cosworth 50 horsepower on tap if he needs to use it. Right now, though, as we mentioned, the question for him more along the lines of when do you stop as the laps wind down here at Zolder.
Justin Wilson has really had a nice recovery to the weekend.
Backup car for that team.
And
traffic up front there, yeah.
And he loved his car on the first part of the circuit, but then struggled with his car on the backside. And there's no question that they have made some changes to where he's been quick. Graham Rahal gets by Gomedy now.
Oh,
and here comes Wilson.
Trying to squeeze to the inside, the CDW car. Wilson trying to pick up 2 spots.
Oh, 2 for 1.
Rahal off in the weeds, and Wilson gets it done. Now he's zeroing in on Bruno. That would be for 4th.
You don't see that very often. You don't see picking up 2 positions in 1 corner. That was a nice advantage of momentum, and now he has good momentum and some power to pass to force the issue and get by Junqueira.
Wilson's got plenty of it left. 50 seconds on the clock. The CDW car way wide. Did he get offline there? He did.
He got 2 and gave 2 up. Wow.
You can see the brake squeal there. You can see the smoke off one of the front wheels as Wilson had to get on the brakes and offline, and he gave up those spots to Junqueira and to Rahal. Will Power nearly getting by. Here's the move. Rahal first by Gomedy.
The first one. Rahal's thinking, fantastic, I just got by Gomedy, and then at the same time he's trying to get back online. Slicing up the inside comes Justin Wilson. Then he tries to make the move.
On board Wilson, let's see how he does that job.
And he just lost a spot live.
Yeah, Will Power got by.
And Will Power, you could see him on the power to pass with a flashing light when he went by. So Justin Wilson looked like he was on the move, and now he's going straight backwards.
Wonder if he got the tires dirty by going offline there. You can see a lot of debris flying when that scramble occurred on the last lap through this area. Wow, some wild developments with 12 minutes to go at Circuit Zolder in the Champ Car Grand Prix of Zolder. A reminder, Champ Car World Series European Tour continues next week, Sunday the 2nd. Live coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Holland from TT Circuit Assen, 7 o'clock Eastern Time Sunday morning. Join us for breakfast on ESPN Classic. More information from ESPN.com. Graham Rahal, who led laps earlier, has gotten himself back up to 4th now as the clock's starting to trickle away at Circuit Zolder. We'll be back and see if Rahal can get to the podium. Welcome back live to Champ Car World Series at Circuit Zolder in Belgium for the 11th race of 2007. 9 minutes of racing to go. Neil Johnny in the Gulfstream PKV Red Bull 21 car. Running 8th, Simone Pagenaud. We heard from Derek Walker. Radio communication had been lost, and that's why that Pagenaud missed his pit window a few moments earlier. Gave up the lead. This was just a few seconds ago, stopping for fuel only, enough to get him home for the last 7 or 8 laps of racing here today. So Sebastian Bourdais retakes the lead, cycling back to the top. Bruno Junqueira, meantime, continues to run 2nd with Dale Coyne's team late in the race. Now, Bruno, according to our calculations, may be able to make it home. We'll see. Doubtful, but looks like he's going to try. But Bourdais cashes in big in the McDonald's car number 1. Headed, it appears, for his 6th win of 2007, which would lengthen his championship advantage over both Dornbos and Will Power. Right now, Dornbos shown 7th. Power up to 4th, so Power might be able to gain some ground at least for 2nd in the championship on Bobby D, depending on how things shake out here over the final 7 minutes 45 seconds of racing. Working lap 65.
When you talk about Bruno Junqueira and if he'll be able to make it, he stopped 2 laps earlier. That's a lot earlier than Sebastian Bourdais and company, Graham Rahal, Will Power, Justin Wilson, when I even thought at that point that was going to be dicey for making it to the end. So that is most likely why Bruno Junqueira has fallen back and why we have seen such a big lead for Bourdais and why everyone is stacked up behind Bruno. He has to save fuel and just really take it easy where he can, at the same time holding these fast guys behind.
Now Rahal only has 16 seconds of Cosworth Power to pass time remaining. That's a couple of squirts. Bruno's got 50 seconds left if he needs to play defense, but if you're saving fuel, he might not even bother to try that. Rahal's made 4 stops, so he shouldn't need to stop again for fuel. And Graham Rahal may be in great shape to end up on the podium alongside Bourdais as we look ahead to the checkered flag in a couple of moments. Our Cosworth Power to pass graphic there left of your screen showing the balance between Junqueira and Rahal, how much time they each have out of that initial 60 seconds in the bank. The extra 50 horsepower on tap with that button on the steering wheel.
And you make a great point about the fact that he may have it in the bank, but he may not be able to use it because he's got to save fuel. Bill?
Guys, this is really a great day for Bruno Junqueira. I spoke to him before the race today, and he hopefully can hold on to the spot he has. It will just continue a pattern for him this season. Except for 2 races, he's had a top 10 car all season long, and he is racing for a team that can't compete with the others in the budget department. So you might call him one of the great overachievers of 2007.
Really a year, I think, in which Bruno's planning and hoping to reestablish himself as one of the top drivers in the Champ Car World Series. Of course, lost his ride with Newman Haas Lanigan coming into the season in favor of Graham Rahal. Went to Dale Coyne's team, and he's really helped that team quite a bit. He's brought him, I think, credibility, and he's been very fast. Qualified in the top 5 2 weeks ago at Road America, a place where he has won before. Justin Wilson in the CDW 9 car, shown 5th right now. Trying to get closer to Will Power, see if he can get up into the top 4 before the checkered flag falls. There's Alex Tagliani in the Rocket Sports car number 8. Tag's been up in the top 5 today. Right now, showing in 9th position, and Robert Dornbos 2nd in the championship. Bobby D in the 14 car back in 7th. Points as they run. Bourdais would add to his lead significantly if this is the way they come to the checkered flag. Dornbos would remain 2nd, and he would fall 53 points back with 4 races to go in the 2007 season. Oriol Servia in car number 7 for the Forsyth Index team. Servia 6th right now in the running order in front of Dornbos. And there you get a look at that gap. Neil Johnny back 1 spot behind Dornbos. Johnny in the Red Bull Gulfstream car. It's the blue and yellow machine. He runs 8th, and there's Tagliani shown 9th. Omatro Rescue Tools going on board for the trip to Europe for the 8 team this week and next.
And we just saw Bruno Junqueira come through, and some of the radio traffic is that they are telling Graham Rahal, at least it's their opinion, and Newman Haas Lanigan, that Bruno Junqueira can't make it. So they've done their own calculations. Of course, they don't know how much fuel he has on board or what his mileage is, but they're telling Graham Rahal he cannot make it. He's going to have to stop. We'll have to see if, in fact, we heard Bill say that this has been a fantastic weekend for Dale Coyne, but you got to bring the thing home. Getting extra 2 laps more than anyone else, that is almost impossible to do.
Should have about 3 laps of racing remaining here. 4 minutes on the time clock. Rahal sniffing 2nd spot. 1 car length behind the Sonny's barbecue machine. Rahal in the Metazone 2 car, that baby blue car. Oh, it took a look to the inside of Bruno. Bruno able to defend. This is for 2nd as the laps wind down at Circuit Zolder. Will Power right there as well in 4th.
And Bruno's just going to drive it and save as much fuel as he can. If he runs out, he runs out. You know, it's like, I got a shot here. We'll just see what happens. Maybe for some miracle, we'll have a little extra fuel in the tank to make it.
Go back to something we talked about, too, at the top of the broadcast, and we heard some of the drivers say it. It's narrow here, a hard place to find room to pass.
But I truly think that if you're confident in your fuel use, that you would just go ahead and use the button and sail by. But I still think even people behind Bruno are not certain that they've got lots of fuel to play with, and they got to pick their spot carefully.
Coming up on 3 minutes to go here at Circuit Zolder. There's Oriole Survey, the Forsyth Index, car number 7. The Sonny's Barbecue car of Bruno Junqueira for Dale Coyne's team. Second, 13 seconds behind race leader Sebastian Bourdais, but hoping to hold on the second spot. If Bruno can hang on, and we don't think he can, but if he can, it would be the best finish ever for Dale Coyne Racing in the Champ Car World Series. Oriole Survey, he drove for Coyne a couple of years ago, had a third.
So did Roberto Moreno in the U.S. 500. So they've had 2 thirds for Dale Coyne Racing. And if this is going to be potentially your best ever finish for the team, why not? Stay out there, just, you know, save what fuel you can and go for it.
I don't know if there are casinos in Belgium, but Bruno and Dale Coyne certainly rolling the bones at the moment, hoping for a good result here at Circuit Zolder. 2 minutes to go. Should be 2 more laps. Race pace about 1:15 for these cars. Bridgestone running order top of your screen. Sebastian Bourdais, as is often the case, in a different zip code here at the moment.
And you know that Graham Rahal is saying, hey guys, I thought you said you couldn't make it.
Part of the education of a young race driver, though, in a lot of ways, wouldn't you say? At 18 to learn
He's
this?
working hard. You can see him sawing at the wheel there. He's kind of come to the conclusion that maybe he can make it. I got to get after him.
Junqueira holding on to second. Hoping to hang on to second spot in that Sonny's Barbecue car for Dale Coyne. Last pit stop for Bruno, lap 48. As we work on lap 68, last time around. So presumably, if he could go 21 or maybe squeeze 22, he might be able to cash in. Bourdais, the race leader, 13 seconds to the good. The Newman-Haas Lanigan McDonald's team getting set for their 6th trip to victory lane in 2007 in the Champ Car World Series. Bourdais would put an even tighter grip on his 4th consecutive series championship, which would be a record setter. Remember last year when he won his 3rd straight, he tied the late great Ted Horn. He's the only drivers to have won 3 consecutive, what are now Champ Car World Series championships. Bourdais, last couple of corners. Checkered flag from J.D. Wilbur will be in the air momentarily for the McDonald's team and their great young driver. And here he comes. That's the entrance to pit road. Ryan Dial moving by. Dial back 50, 3 laps down. Checkered flag for Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais wins the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium. Now the question is, can Bruno Junqueira hang on for 2nd in front of Graham Rahal? Bourdais waving to the crowd. There's Dial. Graham Rahal looking ahead. Can't see whether that's Bruno up there or not. I think it is. We'll find out. A couple of corners to go. Looks like he's off the gas. And we assume that Bruno Junqueira has taken 2nd. Bourdais with the visor up, celebrating his victory, and the unofficial word is that Bruno Junqueira has come home in 2nd spot. A great finish, the best ever for Dale Coyne's team. We'll be back in Zolder. The Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium being brought to you today by Mazda. On any given weekend, there are more Mazdas road race than any other brand. And by Bridgestone. For drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. Welcome back to Circuit Zolder in Zolder, Belgium. The Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium into the books. Sebastian Bourdais, the winner. He's with Bill Stevens.
A very happy Sebastian Bourdais. A win on European soil, your family here, your parents. How special was this, Sebastian?
Well, it's 3 for 3, so yeah, it's going really well. Another pole, another win for the Magnus team. They did a fantastic job again today. It wasn't easy, really, with the different strategies, but the car was awesome, and we made it.
The pass around Bruno Junqueira was an anxious moment. Take us back.
Yeah, well, Bruno was having to save a lot more fuel than I was, and I knew that. So I know Bruno is very fair, and he used the push to pass and got alongside him. And when he saw me coming, it just didn't close the door. So it was a good race.
It was a good race. Congratulations.
6th win of the season for Sébastien Bourdais, his 3rd win in Europe. He swept the last time Champ Car came to Europe back in 2003. The 2-race European Tour, a double dip there for Bourdais. So now he wins his 6th in 11 starts in 2007. Bourdais the winner. Bruno Junqueira, best ever result for Dale Coyne. Rahal, Power, and Wilson, the top 5.
It was very interesting to see that the strategy for Junqueira and for Graham Rahal certainly paid off. But boy, what a fantastic way to save fuel and keep people behind for Junqueira. Bill?
With Bruno Junqueira, of course, a spectacular drive, but the operative question is, how did you ever make it to the finish line on your fuel? And Dale Coyne over here is chuckling about it. Bruno, tell us about it.
Well, it was really hard. I had Sébastien behind me. I knew that I had to save a lot of fuel, and he just passed me in a place that I wasn't expecting. I was just lifting very early. Maybe I was going to push a pass, and then to keep Rahal behind me and still doing a very good mileage was hard, but great job for us. I'm very happy.
And what a day for you, Dale.
It's good. I mean, we've had some thirds, and we got a 2nd with this guy. We always had confidence in him in the past, and he did it today. We had some mess ups, but we played strategy, and it worked out really good.
I think a very popular result for this team.
Fantastic outcome for Dale Coyne Racing, Bruno Junqueira, and the entire Sonny's Barbecue team. Well, 4 races remain in the season. Bourdais adds to his lead, now 53 over Robert Dornbos. Power 3rd in the championship. Wilson and Rahal rounding out the top 5. Rahal back on the podium today, 3rd.
Graham Rahal is definitely starting to gain some momentum. He was so close. And you know what? He may have had some opportunities to make a move, but they told him that Bruno was going to run out.
And it didn't work out that way. All right, let's get the thoughts of the 3rd place finisher. Back to Bill.
Graham Rahal, we spoke before the race, and you mentioned how, even though you were starting back in the field, the breaks could come your way, and it looked like that happened today.
Yeah, I mean, the whole MetaZone team did a great job today. When we got out in the clear, we were really fast. I think we had the fastest couple of laps of the race by that point. And, you know, when we didn't have to save fuel or anything, I mean, we really moved through the field. And you know, the guys did great job with strategy and pit stops and everything, and just helped us move to the front.
Great rookie day for you. Congratulations.
Proud dad Bobby Rahal there, celebrating with his son Graham, who gets to 3rd. Thought he could get by Bruno Junqueira because Bruno wouldn't have enough fuel. Didn't quite work out that way. Let's have a look at our Rush Rounds Rookie of the Year standings now.
Will we need
Robert
anyone
Dornbos
else?
with a 7th place finish. Graham Rahal 3rd, so Rahal closes the gap just a little. He's now 34 points behind Bobby D with 4 races to go, including next week's run at the TT Circuit Assen in Holland. Now, one of the things that's been added by Champ Car this European swing, the Phanos Resorts European Team Cup. Much like we had the Canadian Triple Crown earlier, a new point system has been instituted, qualifying and race points for both cars in a team. Even Oz Lanigan finishing 1st and 3rd. They take the early lead by 9.5 markers over Team Australia. 3rd is Rocket Sports, Dale Coyne Racing 4th, and then Forsyth Championship Racing in 5th. The Forsyth boys, well, Paul Tracy ran 10th today. Royal Servia 6th, so not quite the result that they were hoping for, but certainly it was Sébastien Bourdais' day as he adds to his championship lead. Well, a reminder, the Champ Car World Series does continue with our European Tour next Sunday, September 2nd. Live coverage of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Holland from TT Circuit Assen, 7 a.m. Eastern. Join us for breakfast next week here on ESPN Classic. And if you missed any of today's Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium, or you'd like to see it again, watch our Champ Car re-air tonight on ESPN 2, 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday morning. For Jan Beekes and Bill Stevens and our entire Champ Car crew, I'm Rick Benjamin, wishing you well from our Champ Car studios. Once again, the winner of the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium, Sébastien Bourdais, his 6th win of 2007. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. We will see you next Sunday morning on ESPN Classic at 7 o'clock Eastern for the Champ Car Grand Prix of Holland.